Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, let's just get a pointless scene out the way. It's pointless because ultimately it goes nowhere. And that's the scene with Chad and Stephanie. The reason why I sit there and say this scene is pointless is because he comes over there to sit there and tell her that, he's no longer going to be working with her now that the whole Paulina case is done. Since she's going to be stepping down and everything like that, he was just assigned to that one case. He was like, all right, well, I'm kind of done. And she was like, well, I mean, there's other work there's other work for you to do. Like, you don't just have to leave because this job is finished. It's like, yeah, well, I think Alex may have a problem. I'm like, you're reaching, bro. And she's like, no, we good. And, she was like, it, I don't exactly remember verbatim because I watched it this morning and I was planning on doing the video in the morning, but I woke up late and it just didn't happen. But it got to a point where they started talking about the relationship again. And I think she brought up like the only reason why we wouldn't be able to work together, whatever, like you would have a problem if we was in a relationship, but we're not in a relationship because you don't want to be in one because you're not ready. It was like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, see, that was just golden opportunity to sit there and be like, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to be with you. Problem, if you would have did that, is that, I mean, let's be honest. She only went out with Alex as a consolation prize because she couldn't go out with Chad. So, if she was to sit there and be like, all right, cool, let's make this work. Oh, I'll just break up with him. Then it was just like, wow, Alex, maybe it wasn't a good idea for you to be with Stephanie. But at the same time, I mean, I'm assuming she must have some sort of genuine feeling for him other than physical attraction. Because, I mean, if that was the case, then they could have just did some friends with benefits and that just would have been that. Um, but he was like, no, no. And so Stephanie was like, okay, well, then with that being out the way, then there's no reason for you to quit then. He was like, yeah, well, thank you for, allowing me to sit there and work with you and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, cool. Cool. This scene went nowhere. I mean, the whole point was for you to sit there and quit your job. And I'm just like, you could have found a ton of other reasons to leave. I mean, EJ is literally sitting there saying, you can come back to Demura whenever you want. You may not be the high executive or whatever, but you'll still have a job there. So it's not like he could have been like, oh, I'm just going to work with the family. I mean, or he could just be like, you know what? I'm rich and I don't need a job. There could have been that too. There could have been so many reasons of why he could have quit, and it just would have made sense, and she really wouldn't have fought him on it. But of course, this is to get them close and get him jealous and finally admit his feelings, and then it'll be, it's for plot. That's what it comes down to. It's for plot. So Bonnie finally remembers, she finally remembers Xander's voice. And Xander's like, no, what are you talking about? It's not, what are you talking about? There's a point. There's a point where Bonnie's like, no, at first it's like, oh, you're muscle bound or whatever. You fit the build and you fit the stature, whatever. And he's all like, no, what are you talking about? There's a lot of people that's like that. There's a lot of people that work out and stuff like that. And then she's like, well, you have an Irish accent. And he's like, no, I'm Scottish. And she's like, no, same thing. I was like, I feel like I was like, bro, I feel like there's gonna be some people that's gonna be offended by that. Listen, it's just it's the reality that we live in, And I'm just gonna sit there and leave it at that. But when she said that, I was like, Bonnie, I don't know if that's a good idea for you to say that. But this is the same woman that told Alex that he should sit there and keep pursuing Stephanie and being like, oh, who cares about a little sexual harassment suit? I'm like, you might want to sit there and talk to the people that had to do it, Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby. I mean, seriously, I can't even believe they wrote that in there, but whatever. So they go back and forth, and she's all like, oh, I'm about to call the cops, and then, boop, Gwenny Boo comes in and knocks her out. So now it gets to a point where they gotta pretty much abduct her again. But this time, Xander's like, all right, this isn't gonna work. We gotta do something. Like I have a plan. They don't say what it is exactly, but he's like, you're gonna have to hit me. At first, she's like, I can't do it. Xander says something very dickish, and then she hits him. There's a reason behind it. And at first, I was like, so what are we gonna do? We're just gonna kidnap him? We're just gonna kidnap her again? Okay. Meanwhile, you got Leo and Sunny getting closer and everything like that, until Alex shows up. Because Alex is at the house with Justin, and Maggie came in, and Maggie was like, "Yeah, Bonnie's really snipped there. Like she's losing it." At first, Justin was like, "You let her just leave by herself?" And I'm like, she's a grown ass woman. She's not responsible for her. Like she wanted some air, let the lady get some air. Like she's not her keeper. I was like, bro, I get that he was mad and he was angry at the time, but I was like, you might want to take that down a notch, and he did. Um, but Alex, went out there to try to find her and ran across Sunny and Leo holding hands, and I was like, I need your help or whatever. So they run off whatever to sit there and try to find um Bonnie, and Justin finds, I guess, like the bow, whatever, something, scarf or something like that she was wearing. Now Leo gets a call from Gwen. Now first Leo's like, so did you talk to your dad? And Gwen's like, no, I didn't do that yet. So she calls him in for a favor. Don't know what this favor is, but towards the end of the episode, Bonnie wakes up and like tied up and everything like that. She's like, oh, not again. But this time she turns, she looks around or whatever. She sees Xander also tied up, and I'm like, all right, that's kind of clever. That's kind of clever because right up until that point, yeah, granted, it's hearsay, but this isn't even really so much about hearsay, and this isn't even so much about what you can really prove. It's more about Sarah. This is more about Sarah, and she was already suspicious before. Because, even when Bonnie was like, I'm going to call the cops or whatever, I was like, call the cops and do what? Say that, Xander kidnapped you? What proof do you have? Okay, you remember his voice. You said it was Scottish, or no, you said it was Irish, even though he's Scottish. You were just like, oh well, they're the same, even though they're really not the same. Um, and he was in the mask, so you can really identify his face. Um, what he was wearing is something that a lot of um Ava's employees or Ava's, little mob ties or whatever used to wear when she was, like a powerful figure or whatever. So it's like the point is you got nothing. And I'm just like, bro, you could just sweat that out. But it looks bad on his image. Now it's Jack and Sarah's that they're talking. They're talking about Gwen. Talking about Gwen and her feelings towards Xander. And how Sarah still has a problem with that. They're talking about the company. Doesn't really go much of anywhere. So there's that. But of course, Sarah's like, wow, he's taking his fitness really seriously. But he's been gone a long time. On top of that, it's freezing. Let me tell you something. Jogging in the winter is not exactly the best idea. Okay? You sweat, the pores open, and you're hot, cold, and that's usually how you get sick. Just saying. Not gonna lie, I feel like that's about it for the most part. I can't really think of anything else that happened. This episode is decent. This episode is pretty decent. I gotta say that. What is it today? Monday. Well, usually days has a good week. Okay, and I have a feeling like, and I saw the previews or whatever. I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty good week. I mean, yeah, you got that one annoying chick, the nun woman, that I just she's not working for me. Let's just put it that way. But for the most part, the story is getting pretty interesting. And again, I did really love today's twist. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.